You want to just say something?
They're still coming.
That's a good one. That's a good word.
I'm asking. Keep talking.
If she wanted to be there, but she already has plans, so she's. No. So she'll be watching. So what my husband is at work. He's like, I'll just shut the door and watch. I was like, it's fun to see. Of course. So if you do have to read it.
Hi. I saw your little guys, they're so cute. Those little guys. Yes, they are. Yeah. I've seen them. Some little girls over there. There she is. Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. They can see her sit right there. She said she can see people, hear people in the background too. But once it's
It'll be
quiet.
fine. Quiet. My baby. I bet you like that. She brought that storm.
This is still working.
It's right, that one part I do.
Yeah, that's really
I remember you saying that and it came out.
But the more you got, like sweater, you got hers, thinking like your us, or whatever, ours to you, like it's
the whole town
Yeah.
changed.
Variety. Yeah, partners. That's all right.
Is it bad? I can't say it to myself. Caroline's
Oh, you're not. Dang it.
Welcome, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Andrew, and I'm Nick's brother-in-law, and my sister Caroline's husband. And on behalf of the entire family, I just want to thank you all for being here. It's very evident from people here in person. There's also a live stream, and I'm sure many more people watching who were influenced by Nick's life through his teaching, his travels, perhaps even growing up or as an adult, but we're here today to celebrate together. And so I thank you all for being here on behalf of the family. I also especially want to thank John Spangler, who's a friend of Nick's, for playing this beautiful music for us, to welcome us in together. Also be playing some beautiful songs for us to reflect together as we go throughout the day. If you'll join me in prayer to begin the service. God, we come into this space looking for comfort from each other, from the love and precious memories that we have in, and comfort from you. This is a sad occasion to be together, and we're grateful for being able to do this together, so that each of us can know that in grief and sadness, perhaps even in anger, we are not alone. So we ask that as we celebrate Nick's life together, that today would be a celebration for a man that lived a very full life. Bless this time that we have together. Give us true words to say to each other. And let us celebrate and love on each other. In your name we pray. The family asked me to share some words of comfort this afternoon. I'm not a preacher, so hopefully that's good news to some of you. But I am a lawyer, so maybe that's worse news for most of you. As I was thinking about the ways that I remember Nick, he loved words and was a literary person. So spirit of my, the few things I have to share this afternoon before some others from the family share. They are quite literary, but I'm not going to apologize for that because he knew Nick, he knew he loved books, he loved words, and he loved teaching. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, but it's a book by an author named Annie Dillard. It's called Teaching a Stone to Talk. In this book, it's a series of essays, stories, narratives. Annie Dillard herself was a naturalist. So she was always out in nature, which if you knew Nick, I know he can relate to that as well. I was thinking the other day about this story that she tells about the very first time that she witnessed a total solar eclipse live in person. We've all seen the images on TVs, perhaps during the Great American solar eclipse a few years back. But she writes about this experience with her husband. She traveled, she lived in Northwest Washington State, traveled across the state to the Cascades, North Cascades National Park, to see the total eclipse there. And she writes about going there and thinking this is the time of excitement, this is going to be something fun and very cool to see. But as the eclipse starts happening, she sees the shadow of the moon is rushing across the valley towards her loved ones that she's with, other strangers that she doesn't know, but we're all kind of caught in this moment together. And she writes about being surprised by this sense of terror. And the way she describes it is in words of grief. That it actually feels quite scary to have the sun blacked out, even if just for a few minutes. So I want to share a few of the words that she uses to describe it. She says, the world which lay under darkness and stillness, following the closing of the lid, was not the world we know. The event was over. Its devastation lay around about us. The clamoring mind and the heart still almost indifferent. Certainly disembodied, frail, and exhausted. The hills were hushed, obliterated. Up in the sky, like a crater from some distant cataclysm, was a hollow green. Now, we've all had moments like this that Annie Biller experienced, moments when the fragility of life sharpens into view so suddenly for us, that it makes our breath catch in our chest. Those moments when terror or fear work their paralyzing effect, perhaps when grief floods in to swallow us whole. And there can be a temptation in such seasons, like the occasion that brings us together today, to close in on ourselves, to shut ourselves off from other people, to let our feverish brains rationalize who is to blame for this. And perhaps sometimes we even let our shame heap that punishment on ourselves. But that's not what we were made for. We're human creatures, and as Annie Dillard writes in this passage about processing this sudden grief, this sudden terror, she writes simply and eloquently, and this is what she says. In the deeps are the violence and the terror of which psychology has warned us. But if you ride these monsters deeper down, if you drop with them farther over the world's rim, you find what our sciences cannot locate or name: the substrate. The ocean, or the matrix, or the ether, which buoys the rest, which gives goodness its power for good, and evil its power for evil, the unified field, which is our complex and our inexplicable caring for each other and for our life together here. This is given. It is not learned. In his clearest and most wide-awake moments, Nick had a talent for tapping into that deeper substrate that I think Annie Miller was talking about. As many of you know, Nick had a very intimate relationship with the natural world. He had a deep respect for the interconnectedness of all things, not only now, but throughout history. The rocks, the soil, the water that have shaped the earth. And as many of you know, Nick was endlessly creative. but he was also very creaturely. What I mean about that is that he was often so tapped in and experiential in his approach to life. And I really love that about him. I'll give you one example. So in the morning that mine and Caroline's eldest daughter, Eleanor, was supposed to be born, Nick called me and wanted me to climb Pikes Peak with him. He was very excited. He said, "Let's go. It's going to be awesome. It's your first child's due date. Let's go climb the 14er." And Caroline made it very clear that if she went into labor and I was on top of a 14er, she would never forgive me. So obviously I did not go climb Pikes Peak with Nick. But that was kind of who Nick was. He wanted to make life's biggest moments what felt so big and so real, and make it even bigger in magnitude. To feel more and more connected to the world and to other people. Right, this is the guy who proposed at the end of the Appalachian Trail, who himself climbed numerous mountains. The guy who called me and Caroline one night in the middle of the night. We knew it was the middle of the night. This was the middle of the day for us. We were living abroad. And Nick was on his bike halfway to Denver. And he said, "I just wanted to ride to Denver to see if I could do it." So I want to tell you one more story about him. This is a story about his ability to tap into that substrate, that talent he had for taking things to that deeper level that I think Angel was writing about. So this was July 2015, so almost a decade ago. It was right before Caroline and I were supposed to get married. And Caroline and Nick's grandmother, this is Jeff's mother, passed away quite suddenly. And the whole family was gathering at her house for dinner the night before the funeral. And Nick decided to fly to South Carolina from Colorado. Well, of course, the only last-minute flight that he could get was into Atlanta. I don't know if you've ever flown into the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport, but quite small. So Caroline and I offered to drive down to Atlanta to the airport and pick up Nick, bring him back so that he could be there for the family dinner. Now, for those of you that knew Nick, I don't have to explain, he kind of had a little bit of a stubborn streak. And if you've ever tried to travel anywhere with Nick, you also know he kind of moved at his own pace. It was really hard to speed him up. So, after driving down to Atlanta, navigating traffic, in the airport, people coming and going, we finally got Nick, his bags, and we were all set in the car to rush back to South Carolina so we could be together with the family for dinner. Wow. We must have been, 10 miles outside of Atlanta, and Nick wanted a snack, so stopped for a snack. We made it clear after we stopped and Nick got whatever snack he wanted, but we were already running late, trying to get back. Okay, last stop, we don't have enough time. Well, not much longer after we get on the road. Now, keep in mind, this is like North Georgia, southern South Carolina, right after the 4th of July. There's a huge fireworks warehouse, random exit, middle of nowhere. Discount fireworks, like post 4th of July sale. And it says, "Oh, we gotta stop, we gotta stop, we gotta stop." I think Caroline was a little bit annoyed. I remember she and Nick arguing about it for a few minutes, and I think in kind of an exasperated way, she said, "Okay, fine, whatever. We'll pull up on this exit. you run in, if you want like fireworks, whatever, grab what you need. We have like 3 minutes, and then we've got to go because we're already late. We're trying to meet everyone for dinner. We gotta get home. Well, time browsing the fireworks, and you probably spend money, and he comes back to the car hauling these, those giant value pack fireworks that you can probably only find in like South Carolina and Georgia. And he puts them in the back of the car, and we get back on the highway, hurry back, make it back to his grandmother's house. Of course, we were late for dinner. Have a nice dinner with family. And then after dinner, there's a small pond outside the back of the house there. And I remember we're all standing around down by the pond, just enjoying the warm dusk air, reminiscing about Miss Toney-Noland and her long, really full life. And then a few minutes later, Nick comes walking down to the pond. He has those giant packs of fireworks on his arm. He starts setting them up, lights a few of them. Now it's getting nice and dark. And then the first few fireworks start to explode over the pond, just lighting up that space. And then just as everyone starts to remember, I know now from Caroline that this is what they did as kids growing up. 4th of July, go to grandma's house, set off fireworks over the pond. Well, apparently it wasn't just Caroline and the family who remembered, but the neighbors as well, because only a few minutes after Nick sets off this gunpowder and sulfur-infused clarion call, other families from around the neighborhood start showing up. And they got their leftover fireworks from the 4th of July. And people started setting up fireworks. And we just had a wonderful time as everyone in that community was just sharing about what Ms. Nolan meant to them. Everyone remembering what this place meant to them, this tradition of having these fireworks. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't stop on the side of the road. So my hope is that the memories that we share today, but not just today, in the coming days, coming months and years, I hope they'll be like those fireworks for Nick. Those fireworks that Nick brought to the pond despite our own annoyance and rush to get home. As Andy Miller might put it, a way to ride the monsters of our grief down, but to do it together with other people. And I hope we can do that together while we hold Nick's precious and very outsized life in life. Some of you may be familiar with these words. This is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table for me. In the presence of my enemies, you anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And the second reading is from Lamentations 3. This is verses 21 through 23. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. God's mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord.
Turn on the microphone. There are places I remember all my life. Some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some come, some remain. All these places have their homes. With lovers and friends, I still can't recall. Some are dead, and some are in my life. You more. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of her someday. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll stop and think about them. I love you. You more.
Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm Nick's sister, and I drew the short straw, so I had to read 2 of these stories. So here we go. I'm reading this first tribute to Nick, written by my mom and dad. Becoming parents is something we spoke often about before we were married. It was in 3 years of our marriage Nicholas was born. Our lives centered around our little family, which grew to 4 when Caroline was born. Nicholas was fond of art and music, and from an early age developed a passion for reading and writing. In 2nd grade, he had a November writing assignment on how to catch a turkey. His essay went something like this. First, number 1, you and your mom go to the grocery store. Second, walk back to the meat section. Third, tell your mom to pick up a frozen turkey. Fourth, back up 5 steps and hold out your hands. 5, holler, throw the turkey, Mom. And that is how you catch a turkey. Its illustration for the story was hysterical, and we wish we knew exactly where it was today. Nicholas loved to draw and paint when he was young and took art lessons for years. We have several of his watercolors to this day. But Nick's main passion, his first true joy, was found in his love of music, particularly playing the guitar. He had several music teachers of various genres, and we never had to ask him to practice. He was never without a guitar. One of the truest moments of joy for Nicholas was when he gave him his first Taylor acoustic at 11 or 12, and his face lit up the room. It seemed like he smiled for days. That photo is on display. There was nothing he treasured more on this earth than that guitar. Until he started dating Maggie. in the 10th grade. I guess then they became somewhat of a trio, Nick, Maggie, and the guitar. Nick grew and matured, and one day he found himself after college graduation near the completion of the Appalachian Trail, a 2,197-mile trek, 0.5-mile trek, I apologize, from Georgia to Maine, when he excitedly called us and said he was going to ask Maggie to marry him when he reached Mount Katahdin, Maine, and could we all fly up to meet him? So of course we did, to be with him for his special event. Nicholas's teardrop is now focused on Maggie, where he sold his beloved guitar for an engagement ring. A side story on this, Nick had planned for he and Maggie to climb the final stretch of Mount Katahdin together, where he would propose on the summit at the end of the AT. He seemed to forget that Maggie was terrified of heights. And near the top of the mountain, as she was grasping onto boulders and shaking every step, Nicholas got her settled on a wide part of the cliff where she waited for him to make his summit. And when he returned to her, he brought a special rock down from the top of the mountain and asked her to be his wife. The rock is below. Years passed, and Nicholas and Maggie moved to Colorado Springs from South Carolina to start their teaching careers. And what I think was Nick's 30th birthday, we were able to purchase another gently loved Taylor acoustic guitar for him, just like the original. Nicholas leaves behind 2 young sons, William and Benny, who have so many of his mannerisms and facial features. William loves books and nature like his dad, and has developed quite an eclectic music playlist. Benny loves riding his bicycle and playing video games, just like Nick did when Santa brought him a Nintendo when he was in the 1st grade. Jeff and Nick forged years of memories and friendships during Boy Scout years, which led to a lifelong love for the outdoors. Biking, hiking, camping, he incorporated these favorite pastimes with his family. Nick played for years in a church praise band and has played on many occasions with local bands here in the Springs, as well as in the heart of Manitou Springs. It doesn't seem real that Nicholas is not here. He was such a presence and force in the lives of everyone he met. But we know that Nicholas made an important decision in his childhood, which sealed his fate for all eternity. We believe that life on earth is not all there is. We are souls that live forever. And that Nicholas now, in the presence of God, joined by all his grandparents and loved ones. We imagine him playing music and flashing that bright smile. Nicholas, you will be loved, remembered, and treasured forever. Whew, all right, number 2, here we go. Nick and I were opposites in many ways. I remember as kids on family road trips, I would save my allowance until the very last day, never wanting to miss out on something better that might be just around the corner or at the next stop. Nick had spent all his allowance on Slim Jims at the first gas station after break. For 4 years between us, I always wanted to hang out with him and his older, cooler friends. I remember being at a Burger King play place in Nowhere, South Carolina, jumping in the ball pit. And one of his cool friends pushed me down in the ball pit. Nick stood up to him and said, "No one pushes my sister but me." As a kid, I would sit beside Nick while he played video games. And very occasionally, as I hovered, Nick would let me play. One year, I thought I must have gotten super cool because he let me play his Nintendo 64 more than one time. And then he convinced my parents that I wanted the 6th Legend of Zelda game that had just been released for my birthday. And wouldn't you know it, when I unwrapped it, it had already been opened up and set up for me. After college, I moved into Pakistan, and after complaining about how often the electricity went out, I was surprised one day to find I had a package, and in it was a glow-in-the-dark Malibu container, so I could always find it in the darkness. I will choose to remember the way Nick's rough hands reminded me of my papa's. the sheer volume of guitar music that flooded through our shared living walls, his really ugly tacos and socks, and the little kindnesses he gave me. I will remember the courage and bravery it must have taken each time he had to start over, and the will and stubbornness that he had to have had when he learned to walk again. I will remember his goofy laugh and the daily parties that we had in their living room. Nick always recommended books to me, one of which was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which states, "We are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust, swirling and dancing in the eddies and whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal, and we have stopped a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, to share. This is a precious moment. It is a little parentheses in eternity. I hope Nick found peace, and I hope you will too." I'd like to call up Nick Merchant next.
Hey, I didn't realize I was coming up so soon. I'm still kind of putting it together, keeping it kind of loose. I think Nick would, and my friendship would have been. Nick and I met through mutual friends. He did a semester at Western State where my wife went to college. He came into my life at just a really awesome time, and we bonded over our love of music and mountain biking. We're both named Nick. We're both from South Carolina. And we ended up here in Colorado on this crazy journey. And we both loved going into the woods. And just, I don't even know. I wrote a couple notes, but I think they mostly say don't cry too much, so I'm gonna try and pull that off a little bit. But Nick always inspired me. He's always just so fired up about life, and I can hear him say, "Hey man," right now. I'll forever hear him say, "Hey man," with enthusiasm and excitement to show me whatever his new passion was, his new project. I can't tell you the amount of times that we've been turned around in the woods and had to hide under a rock, a bridge, an overpass to escape a thunderstorm. One of the best things he's ever said to me was, "I'm counting the lightning strikes to see how close they are," as we were escaping a monsoon coming down Pikes Peak. So probably we didn't go up there when he offered it to you. But for those who did, his passion was infectious, and it was amazing. I'm gonna miss our adventures together, but I'm gonna have those memories forever. And they're the best. He was always the best to go out into the woods with, and share a hostel room, or just rap about life. He was always there for me during the tough times. My father contracted a flesh-eating bacteria on the day of the move into their new home, and Nick hung in there with us till every last bit of furniture or ski gear or anything was moved and out of the loading truck. I know he must have called Maggie at least 5 times that day to say, "I'll be home soon," but it was late into the evening that he just hung in there, because that's the kind of guy he was, to make sure it was all handled. Watching Nick and Maggie start a family made me decide that maybe that was something for me. I never really was into the idea of having children until I saw Will come along, and that was super cool. And that was a turning point in my life, and something that we could continue to share and do stuff like that. So I hope that you go home and listen to a little Led Zeppelin this weekend or tonight, whatever day it is, and just get enthused about something. Call your friends, tell them you love them. Go on a hike and just be inspired, because I will forever be grateful and inspired by Nicholas Knoll.
Very well.
Well, I'm Mary Margaret, and I've known Nick since he was 16, and had a front row seat as he fell in love with my daughter. And watched them have a lifetime of adventures, build a beautiful family. And Nick's love of adventure and nature, I hope never leaves these boys. And Maggie will do her best to keep that up along with the boys' grandparents. But the love of nature, just this poem caught my eye because it kind of points out so many of the memories I have with Nick. It's by an unknown artist. It's called Take Time. Take time to gaze at a sunset sky where colors blaze to dazzle the eye. Take time to watch a moonlit sea and look at the awe of the towering tree. Take time to look at the heart of a flower, adorned with diamonds from a gentle shower. Take time to view a mountain high with snowy peaks against bluest sky. Take time to listen to the songs of birds, a paean of joy without needing words. Take time to tell your closest friend your love and loyalty will never end. Take time to stop, to stand, and to stare at the wonders around you everywhere. Take time to make time, for all too soon, no more time.
And then
and try my best. Nick and I met in the most mundane place, a high school cafeteria. But even then, he had this uncanny way of turning the ordinary into something extraordinary. With that optimistic smile and a casual reference to Rod Stewart's Maggie May, he transformed an ordinary date into the beginning of something unforgettable. From that moment on, we were inseparable, high school sweethearts, each other's first love. Some of my most cherished memories with Nick come from those carefree days of skipping school, running off to the mountains just to be together. He had this gift of making the simplest moments feel magical, teaching me to skip rocks during a creekside picnic, or calming my fear of heights with the steady grip of his hand as we hiked to the top of Caesar's Head. And on the days we decided to be responsible, I didn't mind a few tardy punches just for the chance to start my day with a kiss. Together, we shared a love of exploring, whether it was traveling to new places, collecting stamps in national parks, uncovering hidden corners of our city, or wandering aimlessly down back roads to find a spot that was just ours. Nick showed me that life was never about the destination. It was about the moments we created along the way. And music was always the heartbeat of our story. It was our connection, our passion, and our shared language. I'll always hold on to the memories of the songs we harmonized with, the concerts we danced through, and the wild Friday night dance parties in our living room. It's a gift he's passed on to Will and Ben, along with his sense of adventure, his bright smile, and his way of finding beauty in every moment. When I look at our boys, I see Nick's spirit shining so clearly. Will has his creativity, that spark of imagination that made everything feel more alive. Ben carries his love for video games and the same focus and determination Nick brought to everything he did. They both share his appreciation of Japanese culture, his obsession with crafting the perfect Spotify playlist, his love of Star Wars, and most of all, his incredible kindness. In them, I see reminders of the love, laughter, and joy Nick brought into our lives. Oscar Wilde once said, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that's all." But Nick lived. He loved deeply, dreamed boldly, and made everyone around him feel seen and valued. They say grief is the price of true love. And today, like every day, I carry that grief, not as a weight, but as a reflection of how much love we share. It's a reminder of the beauty of the life we built together and the responsibility I have to carry his spirit forward, to show women then what an extraordinary man their father was, and to make sure his legacy of love, laughter, and music continues. Nick, thank you for showing me how to love, for blessing me with our boys, and for leaving us with a lifetime of memories. You always said to be prepared, and while I don't think anyone could ever be prepared for losing you, I'm ready to carry your spirit with me in every adventure, every song, every moment of joy you create. Your song will always ramble on.
You know, Nick lived a huge life and had a huge community because of that. And we wish we had time for everyone to come and share memories, but that doesn't have to end here. So the family will be down front afterwards, and we encourage you to come and share memories that you have with Nick or your own sadness that he's not here with us. So John's gonna play a song for us to close, and after the service, the band will be around. Thank you again, all.
Starry, starry night, paint your house blue gray. Look out on the summer with eyes of the darkness of my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and daffodils. Catch the breeze and winter chills in colors on the snowy day. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, how you suffer for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they do not know how. Perhaps still listen now. Starry, starry night, flowers color bright, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflecting Vincent eyes of John. Colors changing hue, morning fields of memory, where the faces feeling are soothing the heart's love. And now I understand what you tried to say to me, how you suffer for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. For they could not learn, but sturdy love is true. And when that hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often. But I could have told you this World was never meant for someone as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits on empty walls, frameless heads and neighbors' walls. Eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you met, rugged men, ragged clothes, silver thorn, bloody that crushed me, virgin stone. Now I forgot what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sins, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they do.
Thank you again for being here. This concludes the service.